Richard King scores on his full home debut for St. Mirren, and Steve McLaren held the key for Jalmaro Calvin's transfer.
Jamaica have a lifeline. How about this?
They got Gunnaz podcast.
If you are new here, this is the Gunnaz podcast. I'm your host, Dicanio, an Arsenal fan that covers everything Reggae Boyz and local football. If you enjoy the content that I do on this channel, remember to hit that subscribe button. It's a very free way to support the channel. And for the regular viewers, remember that every single video I do on this channel must get to 250 likes. So just go ahead and smash that like button. If you enjoy the content, if you like the video, show the support and just hit the like button. Show the support and hit the subscribe button. It's a very free way to support the channel. Now in this video, I'll be talking about Steve McLaren and his influence on European teams, helping Reggae Boyz players to secure moves to Europe. Now, firstly, I want to talk about Richard King as he scored his first goal for St. Mirren on his full home debut in the Scottish League Cup, and it was a penalty that added to the goals on the day for St. Mirren in their 8-2 victory. People, that is a very astonishing scoreline. But what really caught my attention was the fact that they allowed him to kick the penalty. It's very odd in world football that you see centre backs kick penalties in a game of football 90 minutes. You normally see it in a penalty shootout, but it seems as if he has a very, very good. Well, we already knew that Richard King was a very good penalty taker, but if you're a centre back and you're kicking penalties for a team, that does tell me a few things. The attackers are trash at pens. They really rate him highly on penalties. And you have to have ranks in the team to a certain degree. The team has to rate you to allow you as a centre back to take a penalty. That's how I see it. Penalties isn't something that you give to a centre back to help them to settle into a team. No. You just don't do that. You have to actually be good to earn that, to take a penalty for the team. So that is very, very good news. Not only to see him score a penalty, but to see him actually be the one to take the penalty. That is very good news moving forward. So big up to Richard King. Congrats on your recent success, and just keep continuing to go and improving, because there's a whole lot more that you can do and you can improve. So yeah, man, big up yourself, Richard King. Now, staying in Scotland, we're going to talk about St. Mirren, because BBC Sports in the UK made an article about Jalmaro Calvin and his move to St. Mirren, and we're going to talk about it, specifically how Steve McLaren was very integral in this transfer. Now, BBC Sports reported McLaren's reference could be key for St. Mirren's target, Jalmaro Calvin. This article was published by David Curry, BBC Sports Scotland senior reporter, and it was done on the 18th of July, so just about 2 or 3 days ago. And the article read, a glowing reference from former England manager Steve McLaren could help St. Mirren sign winger Jalmaro Calvin. The 22-year-old's former Cavalier and international teammate Richard King has already joined the Scottish Premier League club. Calvin helped his domestic side win consecutive Jamaica Premier League titles and was named the young player of their Concacaf Caribbean Cup triumph. And Robinson says that McLaren, who is now in charge of the Jamaica national side, provided a key reference as part of Calvin's work permit hearing. So obviously, people, you have to have in these cases in England, there are different ways that you can get in players, right? Well, a lot of the times, if the team or if the player does not have enough international caps, they have to get in to a team by, I'm not sure, I don't remember what the specific name for that case is, but it's normally like a special case, like a extraordinary talent or a special talent or something like that, right? So There was a hearing for Jalmaro Calvin to get his work permit. So I'm guessing that is what the hearing would have been for. So they needed references. They needed people to actually come in and say, hey, this guy is a special talent. So you don't need to look at the amount of caps that he has for the national team, because moving forward, he will be one for the future, and he is someone that can come in on that exception, right? So I'm guessing that is what Steve McLaren went in to do, to give his reference, and being a reference or getting a reference from a national team's coach, and also from a former England coach as well, is going to work wonders for Jalmaro Calvin with the move, and helping him to get that work permit. Robinson went on to say that Jalmaro is someone that we liked. He adds something different with real pace and energy in the wide areas or through the middle. We're just waiting for the paperwork. No. Steve has given his view on Jalmaro as well as Richard. Jalmaro is a young boy, probably a little bit further behind Richard, but we see a lot of real potential if we can get him over the line. And again, people, it's if they can get him over the line. The paperwork does have to get sorted out. He also went on to say that they are having to temper expectations around the central defender, Richard King, who McLaren tipped for big things. St. Mirren's manager had been tracking the 23-year-old defender and considered signing him at the start of the year prior to eventually bringing him in this summer. The manager went on to say that Steve McLaren's been very vocal about where he thinks Richard can play and where he can go. Scottish football will be new for Richard King. The pace of the game, the physicality of the game may be slightly different, but certainly he has all the raw ingredients and raw attributes to be very successful. My agent alerted me to him. We didn't do it in January as we felt at the stage that we weren't doing particularly very well in the league, and it was a little bit of a risk. We wanted to make sure it was a little bit more of a solid signing, so we had to do a little bit more scouting. Now, in between times, we've done a lot more research, got a lot more feedback from Steve McLaren and his assistant, Paul Simpson, two guys who have managed at the top end of the game. And then we grew the relationship with Rudolph Speid, the owner of Cavalier and the coach at Cavalier. Robinson says that St. Mirren's financial situation means that they have to explore new markets for players. He pointed out the signings of Australian internationals like Ryan Strain and Keanu Bacchus as evidence of that approach. He said that it's difficult now for teams in the Northern Ireland and South Ireland that are playing with equal money that we're paying and more. So it's hard to stay ahead of it, but we have to. We have no choice because we do not have millionaire backers. We do not have somebody waving a magic wand. That is what the article was talking about, folks. It basically spoke to St. Mirren having to explore new markets, which is why they are looking in the Jamaica Premier League to get Jalmaro Calvin and to get Richard King, because they simply can't explore European markets to buy players, because they really do not have the money to be spending millions each on a transfer. They could get a Jalmaro Calvin and a Richard King for about £1 million. That would be a bargain to get both of those players in for just that amount of money. So it's a strategy that they are using, and increasingly we will see a lot more of smaller European teams in those smaller leagues in Europe. Not saying that Scotland's league is a small league, but they don't have that financial power, especially for a team like St. Mirren. So it's very good days, and if they can be the catalyst, Richard King and Jalmaro Calvin can be the catalyst to prove that Jamaica Premier League players are good enough. And we might even see more players moving to Scotland in the near future. So it's really up to them to put their head down. They can not only set a pathway for themselves, but also for the future of Jamaican football. And you also have to give Steve McLaren his props as well, because he has been vital. He's been hyping up the players, not saying that they're not good, but any chance that he gets, he always hypes up the local football players. Richard King, he spoke about when we were in the Unity Cup, he spoke about Richard King a lot, saying that teams need to take a risk on him because he's quality. And he said that he's calling up everyone in Europe, telling them that, hey, this is the new young centre-back talent that you need to get your hands on. So, McLaren definitely did his job there, or not his job, but had his part to play, I would say, in getting that transfer done. And as you guys know and heard from BBC Sport, he did the same for Jalmaro, who is now just waiting on his papers in order to make that transfer. He also spoke highly of Busy Atkinson and gave him a lot of minutes in the Gold Cup, and Busy also had his transfer. So a lot of persons might call it that, Speid are try forcing players in the national team so that they can get moves. Or is it the case that they are just the best players on the island? They've won 2 of the past 3 Premier League trophies, and we are the ones who are saying that we want our best players to be moving abroad. So I don't think it's a case of Rudolph Speid pushing his players into the team. I think his players are just the best players, which they have proven consistently. So if that is the case, and the coach wants to put local players in the national team, then they are the one that he's going to select, the best who have been consistent at this level. And that simply just results in them being in the national team if the coach wants to select local players. That is it for this video, folks. Share your thoughts below in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Should Steve McLaren really be doing all of this? Is that his job? Or do you guys just want him to focus on the players and getting the best players in to represent the country? Share your thoughts below in the comment section, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.
Jamaica have a lifeline. How about this?
They got Gunnaz podcast.